Okay, so something I like to do to cut down on waste and also just to be creative is I like to paint over old boxes. Um, yeah, so this is not the kind that I would usually use. Usually I would take something like a cereal box or something that has that sort of coating on it, and then I would peel that away and it would reveal this sort of rough surface underneath. And then I could just put down a base coat of something and paint over that. But I decided, and I did buy this new, so I guess it's not necessarily sustainable, but yeah, I do think this is a good way to reuse things, especially if you find like old art supplies at like thrift stores, or if you just have some laying around that you haven't used in a while, or you just can't afford to buy canvases or whatever, because you know that's true for a lot of us. Um, so I bought this gesso. I don't think I've actually ever used gesso before, which is weird. Like, I'm not a pro at painting or anything. Um, I just like to do it, although I haven't done it in a while. When I say a while, I mean like a couple years now. So yeah, I'm hoping that these cheap paints I have here will still be useful. That they haven't tried out. Also, they're like so tiny. They're like acrylic, but they're tiny, which I just find funny because I feel like, I don't know, usually if I'm painting something in acrylic, it's going to be a little bit bigger. Well, I mean, not like huge, but like moderate size. I don't even know what's in this acrylic gesso, um, which is what this is. Oh, that's kind of a cool design there. Look at that. It has like a, it's not terrible. It does have more of a painty smell than I expected, because I usually feel like the acrylic paints I buy aren't quite that, they just don't smell too terribly. Um, this has a little bit of a, almost like a house paint, like a house acrylic smell. But I'm just gonna rub that on there. I don't know if that's all right, because I don't know how fast this dries. And also I didn't have my brushes out, so let's do that real quick. Maybe since I've already put that on there, I just don't want it to get too thick, so I'm just gonna kind of spread it. Oh, that's not too bad. Fills in all the gaps. That's good. Sort of like a very thick, gluey kind of paint texture. It's very much like a thick house paint. Not like the exterior kind, but the indoor kind. So it has that like freshly painted smell to it, but not in an overpowering way. A little bit gluey smelling. So yeah, just get that. Got that evened out a little bit. So I bought this cheap pack of brushes. I had some more expensive brushes, but for this kind of project I don't mind having a cheap pack of brushes around, but I don't know where my other pack is, and this has way more variety in it. So I don't know, I just thought that might be cool to use. I also use a cup of water with my acrylic. I don't know if that's like technically what you're supposed to do, but for me, I feel like it's, I don't know, it just helps the texture for me. I like it to be a nice smooth texture, and the water really helps with that. So I'm just gonna pour this out. Oh, maybe I'm not going to. Yeah, this is definitely not the texture of paint. Whoops, that might be too much, but we're gonna try and do this whole box, so we'll see. Hopefully that's not too much or too little for that matter, I guess. I'm gonna re-screw the top back on there. Put that to the side for now. Oh, I see it actually has this little screw thing on the, or little squeeze hole at the top. Oh wow. So now I'm just gonna go back and forth. This is very thick. I feel like I might want more water for this. Although it's definitely helping to fill in those gaps. Oh gosh. I just sent some flinging over into this velvet, like vintage velvet box interior that I have, and that is not what I want to do. I'm also sitting right next to a 200-year-old dresser that I found at the thrift store, so you know, maybe this wasn't the best place to do this, but I guess I'll try to rein it in a little and just keep that other stuff in mind. Usually I would just go back and forth for like a base coat like this, but since this is pretty thick, I'm trying to sort of get it into those cracks and fill it out, then go back over with like a back and forth. I don't know that you have to do this back and forth thing, that's just how I like to do it. I just find it to give me the sort of background texture that I like, and it's also very satisfying to do. This seems to be covering all right without any extra water. I might even be able to bring it over onto the sides, which is what I was hoping to do. It's very thick. I'll bring it closer to me. Just try and get in those little crannies. Oh gosh, I just sent some more paint flinging. Yeah. I find this to be a good way to like reuse things. Again, like I said, I like the idea of not wasting things. I just got so much of this on my brush. I'm going to try and do the side of the box without letting that big glob drip down. So that's the goal here. I'm going to redo another back and forth stroke over that part. Yeah, this is doing pretty well actually. I did use a lot, as you saw. It's quite a big glob that came out. So what I usually do when I'm like using a cereal box or a box of crackers or something that's empty, I will kind of peel up. Well, first I'll like tear off the flaps. Well, I don't always, but most of the time. I guess it depends on what I'm trying to do with it. There was a time where I was making like little buildings out of the boxes, so in that case I wouldn't tear off the flap because I'm still trying to keep it sort of in a box shape. But if I'm not doing that, if I just want something flat to paint on, I'll start by tearing off the flaps, and then I might, well not I might, but then I'll peel up the edge, because that coating that is on there is sort of a plasticky coating, you know what I'm talking about? Sort of a plasticky coating, and it's like sticks together fairly well. I mean, it's not, well, usually it's not like an actual sheet of plastic, so it does come off in like kind of strips or whatever, but it holds together all right. can see that this little joint here isn't secured. So I'm going to go under there. I didn't take off the flap parts of this one, of this box, just because I kind of like this raised shape. I haven't done this kind of painting, or not this kind of painting. I haven't used this type of box for painting like this before, so kind of telling that I might need to do another layer once this one dries, at least on the sides, because they're very orange from the product that was in here. I'm going to keep my back and forth strokes going along so it's even. Ooh. That smell is definitely getting a little more, I don't know, it's not like intense, it's not like bad, it's just noticeable, I guess. It's definitely more than I notice when I'm just working with regular acrylic paint. I don't know what's different about gesso. Like I said, I'm not like a professional painter or anything, but I kind of have always wondered why gesso is gesso as opposed to just putting like on a layer of paint. If anybody knows that, they could tell me, because that's what I always do. Before I paint on something, I just put down a layer of paint, and in fact I don't usually use white because a lot of the stuff I do, I don't know that white necessarily works with it, but I guess we'll see here because now we're doing white. But usually I work with like darker reds and brownish purples and that kind of thing. There's always room for changing things. I like burnt oranges, those kind of colors. Well, look at this. I think we might actually get all of the sides of this box covered in gesso. There you go. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought it was going to be too thick, and I didn't think it would quite spread around as much as it has, so that's cool that it did. This is definitely, though, I think, taking it to the end of that blob. Wow, we had literally just exactly enough. Well, isn't that kind of satisfying? Wow, we had just enough. There's even a little extra on this brush so I can try and scrape onto there. I don't know if any of this painting sound is coming through. Oops. Let's see, I'm just going to try painting for a while without talking. Okay, now that that layer is done, I'm going to just rinse off my brush here in this cup of water, or jar of water, more like it. Oof, that's a lot of stuff coming out of that brush. Really turned this water to a milky color. Just make sure to rub all that stuff off so it doesn't get stuck. Don't want it to dry on there, then it will be hard to get off later. I mean, I think eventually if you use these enough, they start to build up a little bit of paint, but that can wait. Wow, yes, the gesso is very sticky. Just trying to get it out of this brush, and it likes to stick in there. Or rather, I guess not stick in there, but it's just that it's kind of thicker, so it's not just washing out immediately. Wow, this water is so milky now. Gonna try just soaking it in here for a minute. I think that is a good amount of washing for that. So we'll dry it off with this cut up shirt rag I have here. It's another way of reusing things. If you have an old shirt or something, don't throw it out. It can make a really good rag for anything like a kitchen towel or for art, or if you know, just household stuff, garage stuff, that kind of thing. So yeah, nice neat looking brush again, and it looks like our gesso is going to take a while to dry, so I'm just going to pause for a moment and then be back when it's dry.